Now therefore we, the members of the Atlanta City Council, on behalf of the citizens of the city of Atlanta, who hereby proclaim this day, May the 22nd, 2021, as Tom Murphy Day in our fair city. In witness thereof, we cause the seal of the city of Atlanta to be here into our face. Congratulations.
We're here today to celebrate Tom Murphy and 40 years of his restaurant Murphy's in the heart of Virginia Highland. But that's unusual these days to have a business owner, locally owned, lives in the area for that period of time. And, you know, he serves a fantastic meal. It's a place people come for baby showers, for brunches, for weddings, and he's been tremendous in giving back to the community as well. I'm just so excited that Murphy's, Tom says that they're back to their pre-COVID business. People are out and about. He's making it a safe place to eat. I've been back here, and it's one of my favorite places, and I hope people will get out as they feel comfortable and back into their local restaurants.
Chastain Park is the largest park in the city of Atlanta. This is the last piece of the Chastain Park path, and it's taken over 25 years since it began, and we are here at a groundbreaking to celebrate this last piece getting ready to start. You know, the phrase, it takes a village, well, it certainly takes a village here. There have been lots and lots of organizations who have helped make this happen. I think there are over 500,000 people and probably about 250,000 dogs that use the path each year. It's an asset that is used by many, many people, from young people walking along to people on bikes to people running and exercising and folks coming after work to enjoy a stroll in the park. And the path has really been a catalyst for revitalizing the park, and so lots of park partners here today with NYO and the horse park and the pool, and it's a wonderful time to celebrate together.
We're out here downtown today celebrating the completion of 4 projects that were voted on during our Downtown Decides participatory budgeting process. And we're riding a bike from one location to the other to do a ribbon cutting in each of the 4 transportation projects. Some of the projects we're celebrating today are new bike lanes in the Central Business District, the painting of an island in the middle of the road yellow so people can see it, and some new trash cans in the Sweet Auburn corridor. This is the direct result of citizens participating in this program. This is the first time we've done participatory budgeting in Atlanta, and it puts the power directly in people's hands on how tax dollars are spent, and we're just thrilled with the response and the success of the program so far.
This is our annual Eco Depot. We do this once a year out here at Charm. We used to do it at Turner Field, and we did it one year, the very first year we did it at the Civic Center. But this is an annual day where you can get rid of those unwanted, but the things that you know your gut says, don't throw this away, but I can't put it in the garbage and I can't put it in the city's recycling blue bin. So this is the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials. So people are out here today, they're bringing their styrofoam, they're bringing their tires. We've got neighborhood tires that are coming, you know, where someone dumped them. We've got tires that are coming. All of your old electronics, just like when you have that old electric toothbrush that died, your old cell phone that died, you know better than to put it in the trash or the recycling. So you bring it out here to Charm. It's in the springtime, which is so proper for spring cleaning, because then you don't throw out that old paint can that's got paint in it. You don't throw out whatever the Raid bottle that you lost the lid to. You can bring them here and we will properly dispose of them. And everybody is showing up. We've got, the outpouring of people coming out to recycle their items properly is just amazing. Look at all these people. I'm so happy.
today we're here for an unveiling. We're unveiling an urban farm, one of the biggest urban farms that will be based here in District 3. And we're here to address the food insecurities that this district has faced for decades. And I think what's so innovative about this idea is that we've partnered with Washington High School, with Greenleaf Farms. We're going to be partnering with the American Heart Association to bring together an ag STEM program that's going to cultivate new, young, fresh blood in urban farming that's going to really be focused on how we can move together as a community in addressing food insecurities within Atlanta. It is time that we take action in our own hands and we start cultivating innovative opportunities like an urban farm, like a grocery retail model where we can pipeline produce into the communities and really help lift up and support our residents.
Okay, good morning. Can everyone hear me now? Anyone?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, good. Sorry, there was a technical difficulty on my end. Good morning, everyone. This is the May 25th, 2021 meeting of the City Utilities Committee. I want to welcome everyone. My name is Madeline Archibong, and I am the chair. I want to call this meeting officially to order, and I ask that Mr. Evans conduct a roll call of the members in attendance, and in so doing also indicate if anyone needs to do a voice vote today. Thank you. Mr. Evans? Mr. Evans? right, I'm going to do it, and I don't have it in any particular order. Ms. Evans? Councilmember Schiff, are you present?
I am in voice voting for the moment.
Thank you. Mr. Hillis, Councilmember Hillis?
Present.
Voice voting?
Yes, can't get onto the system, so.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilmember Winslow? Councilmember Boone? Present and voice voting. Present and voice voting. I appreciate that. Councilmember Mazzakai?
Present, voice voting. I believe there's an issue with the system.
Absolutely. And Ms. Shepherd, Councilmember Shepherd? Present, voice voting. Thank you very much, ma'am. Did I miss anyone? Okay, we do have a quorum present. Mr. Evans, are you on the line? Hang on one second. Let me call IT. Hold on one second. Mr. Evans, are you on now?
Yes, Councilwoman. Thank you very much. Sorry for the delay.
Yeah, read the opening meeting statement, please.
This city utilities committee is being conducted remotely as advertised and in accordance with OCGA 5014-1. The meeting will be conducted in conformance with Robert's Rules of Order and the Rules of Council as authorized by the City Code. The public may access the meeting by dialing 877-579-6743, conference ID 831-599-1256, which was noted on the Friday, May 21st public meeting notice. The public may also view the meeting on Channel 26, the Council's homepage at citycouncil.atlantagA.gov, the Council's YouTube channel, or the Council's Facebook and Twitter pages via @ATL Council. All presentations are available on the Atlanta City Council City Utilities Committee presentation page. The agenda was published and made available Friday, May 21st via atlantacitygA.iqm2.com. Additionally, the public was able to submit comments via voicemail at 404-330-6057 between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. on the day before this meeting. These comments will be played during the public comment portion of the meeting. All persons present on the remote council meeting conference bridge are requested to mute your phones and speakers. Additionally, speakers must be acknowledged by the presiding officer prior to speaking. Each council member is requested to open your Outlook email and minimize the screen. Amendments, substitutes, and informational documents have been distributed to committee members beforehand. Thank you all in advance for your cooperation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Evans. The next order of business is the adoption of the agenda. And unless there are any objections, we will approve the adoption of the agenda by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we move to the approval of the minutes, section E. Unless there are objections, the approval of the minutes will be done by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? All right, those minutes stand approved. Next, we are to section F, public comment. Mr. Evans, I understand we do have public comment. Section F, public comment. Mr.
Hello, my name is Margie McLeod. I'm calling a complaint about the street, Lee Street, York Avenue. That's over Windsor area. That's your district. Bank American is filthy. I don't know what's happening. They're not cleaning the streets at all. Camerton Road, Overstreet, that's your district. That plaza is disgrace. Papers everywhere. So I don't know who's going to be responsible cleaning the streets. It's not doing it. And then also, utility, I hope I'm talking to the right committee. Please, because we got a hazard over there off of Richland, off the Cascade. I know y'all go up and down that street because there's no way the wires been down ever since like 4 months or maybe 5 months. Children walk that area. Please, Winslow, that's your area. So you need to go and walk over there about where Tuskegee Airman. You're going to see the wires been down, and they've been down for 4 months, and people have been complaining. Because let's don't wait until someone get hurt, a child get hurt. And I don't understand what's happening. Are they cleaning these streets over there on Lee Street, West End? It's filthy. I should have took pictures, videos, and sent it to you. And also, Council Road, the plaza is discussing with papers and whatever. That's what the complaint that that I have also. So I hope y'all look at it, and maybe y'all need to go out and start walking these streets, not just when election time is coming up. Because there's no way, if you're driving, there's no way you miss that. So I don't know who I need to report when the streets is filthy like that. There's no way that we got people supposed to be cleaning the street, and maybe that's another way you would get the youth program. I have them to make sure they clean the plaza up over there on Camden Road, also Lee Street, the Bank of America. Now maybe we could talk to the corporate or whatever. It's filthy. And Winslow, you live over there. And Overstreet, how often do you walk over? That's all I have to say. Please, start walking in your community. Start walking in your district. As you walk, then you see what the complaints are. And also, we have to watch.
Greetings, council members and staff, and special greetings to you, citizens and voters of Atlanta who are monitoring your government this election year. And Howard, senior advocate, public policy analyst. So far this year, the last 3 of the 4 People TV board meetings were not held, and the one that was held was adjourned prematurely due to random noise coming from the telephone of a thus far unidentified person. If city-assigned board members have been present, and if the city had assigned a staff person to work with the board, as has been done in the past, People TV board members might have learned how to go to the conference call console and track down the person who was interrupting the meeting. The board might also have learned how to conduct the Zoom meeting, even though the presiding officer is unable to join via Zoom except by telephone. The board might also have learned how to contact the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, to report the noise interference. The board might have learned how to convene a special call meeting, as is spelled out in the People TV bylaws. To members of the public, if you or someone you know might want to be appointed by a council member to serve on the board of People TV, please call the council office at 404-330-6030. That number again for the city council office is 404-330-6030. As People TV becomes more effective, their board meetings may be conducted in accordance with the Georgia Open Meetings Act. Further, by reviving People TV projects like APAP Rundown and like NPU on TV, we might soon expose any undercover operations. So heads up, People TV cameras may once again be coming your way. Vice Chair Anthony Robinson, Carlos Clare, Ricardo Jacobs, Renette L. Scott, Alfred White, Allison Hathaway, Sherry Williams, Cheryl Brown, and UNPUR 9 cohorts, enablers, and supporters.
very much. Let's see. Here. Okay. All right, thank you very much. And there's the next item, which is the presentation updates and reports. We'll hear from the Department of Public Works, and I know they heard the comments of our first public commenter about Winter Streets cleaned in the Lee Street and Hamilton Road area. I don't know if they have something they can share with that. And then colleagues, I'll just add with the People TV board vacancies, we should all look at the vacancies in our areas and see if we can't help fill those positions on that board. Thank you very much. And with that, who is here from the Department of Works to bring this presentation to us?
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members, Al Wiggins, Commissioner of the Department of Public Works. Madam Chair, I would like to address the comment, if possible, in regards to the condition of Lee Street.
Please, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to say that I've written that area extensively with Councilmember Winslow, including late nights and the weekends. Lee Street was recently cut by one of our contractors, the entire corridor leading from the city of East Point and to the city of limits of Atlanta, up to Peter Street. So that area has been cut. And we're also looking at putting growth inhibitors on that particular stretch of road to prevent the grass from growing so frequently. We also removed a lot of litter from that area as well. Being that area borders the MARTA rail track, we believe that a good portion of that land also falls under the ownership of MARTA. We will be reaching out to MARTA for assistance with keeping that particular corridor clean as well. I've also been in contact with Councilmember Boone. Work was done over the weekend, and the area of Hamilton Road and a few other areas that I don't have readily available right now. So we are actively working to control the overgrowth and litter. This past Monday, we did a citywide assessment of the entire city using a scoring criteria to look at the areas that are in the most egregious conditions. And with that strategy, with the scorecards that we've collected, we will begin addressing the most problematic areas of the city.
Well, thanks for that. If you would share that scorecard with the respective district representatives, we find that volunteers in the community are really willing to, roll up their sleeves and help as well. So I would like to see for just 5 anyway, what that looks like. If you share it, I think it would be a good idea.
Yes, Madam Chair. And thank you for the opportunity to present DPW's FY21 Q3 report this morning. If we can begin the slide presentation. I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I was waiting for the presentation to load. Okay, thank you. Next slide. Okay, the table of contents has basically been provided as a quick reference guide for the quarterly report. Next slide. You can go to slide 4. Next slide, please. Slide 4. I'm sorry, it should be slide 4, the very next slide. Okay, thank you. We'll begin with an update on the department's collection schedule. After nearly a 3-month temporary service change, DPW is now able to return to normal operations. This includes solid waste recycling and yard trimmings. Although the spread of COVID-19 is still a major concern, the department has been able to overcome most obstacles due to increased testing and vaccination of employees. Although recruitment remains a challenge, we're seeing significant improvements with bringing new employees on board through the hiring blitz events arranged by DHR and the solid waste management team. We're trending in the right direction with the onboarding of employees, and decreased absences due to COVID-19 related issues are extremely low. We'll also use the lessons learned during this unprecedented time to create benchmarks and best practices for the future. Next slide. We use the same notification touch points to alert residents of the return to normal services. You may have received via email the updated schedule and just a short blurb on our strategy to resume normal operations. But some of the touch point includes coordination with ATL 311, web banners and web pages, social media posts, notification through the ATL Solid Waste mobile app, email distribution list to Atlanta City Council members and MPU chairs, coordination with constituent services to distribute messages to our local clergy and senior organizations. We have also created a short video to provide a brief overview of the resumption of operations strategy. Items to come are print and digital ads, robocalls, city mailers, distribution of flyers. Next slide, please. Slide 7. We've filled quite a few senior positions, including the role of commissioner since our last presentation. The DPW organization chart has been updated to reflect the filled positions. Next slide. Our staffing scorecard, we currently have 82% of our positions filled department-wide. The breakdown by office is as follows. Office of the Commissioner is roughly at 72%. Office of Solid Waste is at 84%. And Office of Fleet Services is at 80%. Next slide. Just a financial snapshot of the department. Solid Waste, as of March 31st, the department spent approximately $40.2 million, or 72% of the solid waste budget. However, we are projecting the fund to be over budgeted because of disposal contract increases, COVID-19 related purchases for facility cleanings, disinfectant, and PPEs. 2 emergency contracts were also procured to address backlogs in illegal dumping and right-of-way maintenance and repairs to aging facilities, along with the repairs of heavy equipment. The recycling process rate increased in FY20 from $25 to $75 per ton. This fiscal year, the garbage disposal rate increased from $38.50 to $39.75, and then bin rate increased because the market reacted to increases in commodity resins used to produce the bins. Next slide. In the area of emergency management and preparedness, DPW as one of the few departments with facilities that have remained open during the pandemic. We continue to follow all CDC guidelines for COVID-19. Another layer we are adding to our COVID-19 line of defense is on-site rapid COVID-19 testing. Following the Memorial Day holiday and a kickoff to summer travel, our employees will have this voluntary option to determine any exposure. In April, CDC updated their cleaning and disinfectant guidance along with their mask requirements. Our teams have revised our COVID mitigation and response approach from 7 days to 3 days to complement the guidance changed by CDC. And we continue to promote the mask mandate by the mayor for staff. Next slide. The department has 3 virtual town halls to keep employees updated on a variety of issues. We directly which directly affect their ability to work comfortably and safely during the pandemic. The resumption of operations, return to City Hall will directly impact 58 teleworking personnel. To prepare these team members for the return, we are outfitting our workstations with the displayed COVID signage, PPE, and environmental controls, which includes hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, and spray. Hosting town halls to detail changes made to the DPW suite and City Hall, along with action steps employees need to take as part of the return to City Hall. Resurfacing office space for shared workstations and departmental split with ADOT and DPW personnel. During phase 4 through 5, DPW non-essential team members will continue to work in a hybrid model with 2 to 3 days in the office and work the remainder of the week through telework. Next slide. Slide 15. This is the latest weekly dashboard for Operations Clean Sweep, which is phase 2 of the Mayor's Fix It Atlanta initiative, continues with great results. The program has allowed us to utilize employees from other departments and contractors to help DPW clear its backlog of missed collections and improve our service level agreements. Illegal dumping, we have at least 16 dump sites cleared with assistance from contractors. To date, the crews have cleared over 24 illegal dump sites, resulting in over 3,100 tons of debris collected. In areas of delittering and cutting, crews cut 83 locations, resulting in 4.2 miles of right-of-way being cut, along with litter removal. To date, crews have cut over 2,000 sites, resulting in over 185 miles of right-of-way cleared. However, manpower took a big hit, both ADOT and Solid Waste Services operations in the month of January. Operations are getting back to normal. In area of bulk collections, 787 sites were cleared last week. To date, 32,000 bulk sites were cleared, totaling over 8,800 tons of debris collected. Due to our efforts in addressing overgrown vegetation and litter, we weren't able to remove any signs last week. However, over 9,200 signs have been removed since the onset of the campaign. SLA performance status is the percent of on-time collections based on the following participation rates. SLA data is from April 10th, 2021. We are working with ATL 311 to address data migration issues that are impacting the reports generated from the new ATL service system. 92 misses reported for the week out of 98,000 participants. The team recovered 98% of the misses within 1 day. In the area of recycling, 121 misses reported for the week out of the 98,000 participants. The team recovered 98% of the misses within 1 day. 40,000 for recycling. The city's average participation rate, the Feet on the Street campaign since September of 2019 was measured to be around 40%. Yard trimmings, no recycling last week. Misses reported for the week out of 40,000 participants. The team recovered 77% of the misses within 1 day. The SLA is calculated based on the number of complaints abated within the 1 day SLA. Next slide, please. We will continue to share before and after pictures of our progress on all City of Atlanta social media networks. Here are just a few. Slide 18, please. Our department performance metrics have remained pretty steady. For the quarter, the amount of solid waste collected. As I just mentioned, our SLAs have increased significantly during August and September for garbage, recycling, and yard trimmings. There was also an increase in bin delivery for those months. Our preventable accidents decreased during Q3 with the reduction of pedestrian and roadway traffic. Our preventable injuries increased slightly due to the warm weather, the chance for heat-related illnesses and other incidents. Bulk collection update, please go to slide 20. The total for federal requests is slightly over 9,100 for Q3. Operational efficiency has improved. Same week scheduling is now available for bulk pickup. The top requested items are now household furniture and yard trimmings. The southwest quadrant of the city is where we receive the most requests for bulk pickups, followed by the southeast, northwest, and northeast quadrants. We will continue to promote the different scheduling options available to the public. Bulk collections can be scheduled by calling 311, by visiting the DPW website, or through the Atlanta Solid Waste and ATL 311 mobile apps. Slide 20, please. In the area of Keep Atlanta Beautiful, our volunteer community cleanup support resumed in June 2020. We're encouraging small groups and emphasize PPE use. As shown in this slide, KEB supported hundreds of volunteers in their effort to clean up their neighborhoods. KEB continues to create partnerships with key community stakeholders. A few listed are the Facebook Messenger bot partnership went live on March 18th. The focus is educating users on materials that can be recycled immediately. KEB is also working with Georgia Works and Councilmember Shepherd on the litter control project in District 12. Keep Georgia Beautiful, the Great American Cleanup, will be from March 21st to June 21st, which will help increase participation in community cleanup events. Notable events are annual Bring One for the Chipper, which occurred in Q3, where Christmas trees were recycled. I believe we collected over 5,800 trees. The mulch recovered from those trees were provided to city parks and residents. Notable projects are KEB in collaboration with ADOT deployed a redesigned Adopt a Spot sign for volunteer participants. KEB also addressed several requests for the placement of roadside trash receptacles citywide. In the area of fleet services, our Office of Fleet Services overview shows over 5,800 vehicles and equipment were maintained and serviced last quarter, a slight decrease from last quarter. There was an increased repairs from 5,076 last quarter to our current number of over 5,200. Our citywide vehicle availability stands at 94%. And we generated more than $200,000 in revenue from auction sales last quarter. Our fleet employees continue to work diligently to keep city vehicles maintained and serviced. The current citywide availability, stands at 94%. In the area of safety, you'll see our stats as it relates to training hours, in the area of road skills training, coaching on our drive cam software program, and drive cam events. We have received a few questions from council in areas of the solid waste study. I believe the question was that we should set solid waste rates based on valid external rate study that are competitive with external companies and reflect the actual services delivered to residential and commercial customers. Due to the pending litigation involving the rate study, I must defer any associated questions to our legal department for review and response. Next request was to review staff allocation for the Department of Public Works for solid waste collection and understand that having contractors do bulk pickups and illegal dumping permanently could improve collections of garbage, recycling, and yard waste. Currently have a contract with Ceres to augment the illegal dumping and bulk rubbish collections. Next request was to find solutions to the Department of Public Works to the issue of escalating recycling costs by April 2021. It now costs the city 2 to 3 times as much to process recycling compared to dumping trash. The department should report the status of establishing long-term contracts to mitigate fluctuating prices in recycling market as a cost savings measure. In keeping with being a top-tier city for sustainability, DPW operating costs continues to remain lower than the national average for single-stream recycling processing costs. We are also recycling glass, which is a sole service, and it also increases the cost of recycling tremendously. We were also asked to evaluate expanding agreements with recycling partners to help increase the volume of recycling in order to help to reduce the volume and weight of garbage collected and associated tipping fees. The department is limited by material recovery facilities that accept glass. Pratt is currently the only sole facility that accepts glass. Next slide. We would like to highlight the photo above of our employee, Ms. Whitney Buford Morris, who was featured in Atlanta Magazine as one of Atlanta's essential workers during the pandemic. We're grateful to all of our frontline heroes who have faithfully served our city since the onset of the pandemic. This concludes my presentation, and I will open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Commissioner, very much. Colleagues, I can't see any hands raised, so does anyone have any questions for Commissioner Wiggins?
Well, sure. I don't, Madam Chair, have a question for the Commissioner, but it is about the solid waste rate study. And rather than continue to ask either the law department or the solid waste department for answers they either can't give or don't want to give, I'd like to hear from the administration as to what their thinking is. Is there anyone representing the mayor's office on the line?
I see a text from Mr. Evans. He's not sure if anyone from the administration is on the line. Mr. Wiggins, do you know if your assigned attorney is on the line?
Well,
Madam Chair, I do not.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'll spare us. We all know what would be said if that were the case, which is why I'd like to hear what the administration's plans are. And we can move on. Perhaps someone will saunter in from the mayor's office later in the meeting. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone else with any questions for the department?
Councilman
Okay, Mr. Hillis.
And then this is Councilmember Winslow. I'd like to be heard at. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No. There's a little bit of hesitation. So, Mr. Hillis and Ms. Winslow, I'm sorry. Anyone else after Ms. Winslow? Shepherd. All right. Anyone else after Ms. Shepherd? All right. We'll keep it up. Go ahead, Mr. Hillis.
Thank you, Chairman Archibald, and thank you, Commissioner Wiggins, for the quarterly report and updates. Just wanted to follow up on something you spoke about and Chairwoman Archibald asked for, but I would like to bring it forward to council members when it comes to, you're talking about right-of-way maintenance, what the priority corridors are in each council district, and what kind of schedule they've been placed on. That way, if we start to have issues on other corridors that perhaps may not be on that list, that we can contact your office about. So that's something you can send to council members.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have for now.
Thank you.
All right. Winslow. Yes. And thank you, Commissioner, for coming out with me to see the horrors of District 4. It was pretty bad. And I came in to the meeting about 12 minutes late, so I did not hear what the person said about Lee Street. So can somebody just briefly tell me what that was? And then I want to say something else to the Commissioner.
Well, I'll just say, I don't know if Mr. wants to add anything, but it was concern about that corridor, and there was some reference to plazas and Bank of America. I don't know if that was mainly on Hamilton Road, but it was the street itself that the appearance of it, the cleanup that needed along Lee Street was just a general concern. Said maybe walking instead of just passing by would be a good way to see exactly how bad the whole situation. So that was generally what was said. Mr. Wiggins, did I miss anything?
No, Madam Chair, I believe that you covered it all.
Okay, so that might take another tour, Commissioner, because there's some areas where the street needs to be repaved, and there's some potholes in that area on Lee Street. So that may be what they're speaking of, or perhaps something else. But want to thank you for what you've done thus far. It's been a yeoman's job, and I'm looking forward to, my understanding is that there's going to be some type of plan for maintenance with properties that are owned by the city of Atlanta. Is that correct? I'm not talking about the right-of-way cuttings right now. There's some properties that are owned by the city of Atlanta that I've had a hard time getting cut. And one of them, of course, the employees cut, and that's on Oak Street, just off of Lowry Boulevard.
Yes, ma'am. We are working closely with Dean and the Department of Parks and Recs to address any city-owned properties that have any issues with overgrowth of litter. So I will reach out to my colleagues, to the respective colleagues and commissioners that are responsible for the city properties that need attention.
Okay, so yeah, and I'm not sure who's responsible for them. If it's Public Works, I know the ones that are parks, I try to throw them over to parks. Okay, and then I know that with right-of-way cutting, there's just right-of-ways all over the city, so I know you can't get to all of them. So how many miles of right-of-ways do we have in the city of Atlanta?
So as it relates to arterial roads, we have about 150 miles of right-of-way. For collector streets, we have well over 200 miles of right-of-way, and I don't have the measurements for the remaining streets in front of me, but I can get that information to you. But back to the strategy of us addressing the arterial roads, the mowing of the right-of-ways. The arterial roads, as defined by the ADOT's right-of-way management plan and I believe our city's comprehensive plan as well, is what we use to determine the arterial roads, which are the major thoroughfares and the gateways that lead to and from the city, is our first priority. And we're using contracted services, to maintain those areas, and as well as some of the collectors. And we're using our full-time staff members to address the one-off areas and the local streets as well. As I heard mentioned earlier, we have a lot of right-of-way, and the system that we were using previously was a quadrant system to address the growth of vegetation in various areas. We found that that was not the most impactful way of handling right-of-way maintenance, and so the strategy is to address the major corridors first and to deal with the local streets after those areas have been maintained. Otherwise, we would have a situation where we would not be able to maintain the appearance of the city.
Okay, so the first part you said was you were targeting in on the what? Was it the entrances into the city, or what was the wording that you used?
Yes, ma'am, the arterial roads, which are our major thoroughfares.
Okay, so what is that, like Peachtree Street? I'm trying to get...
Lee Street should be included as one of the major arterial roads.
Okay, people are coming from East Point or College Park. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Those are roads that really go from the beginning of our city limits to the end of the city limits. Oftentimes, these are state routes, and as you know, the challenges of working with the state to get those areas maintained. We simply cannot wait on the state to maintain those areas, and so we've taken a proactive approach to removing litter and mowing those corridors.
Okay, last thing, and that is in regard to potholes. So we got a lot of potholes in the city. Now, one of the things that are in certain areas of the city. So one of the things I've noticed is that sometimes there seems to be a hurry up job being done with some of them. And they're not being smoothed out, that they're kind of bumpy, and they may not be actually doing a good enough clean out around, kind of going and making an extra square and getting all of that extra debris out, because what's happening is they're having to come back maybe 3 times in a year to redo the same potholes. So I seem to be sending in potholes, the same locations, like maybe every 3 months. So I'd appreciate it if somebody could look into that, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Road repairs and resurfacing activities are handled by ADOT. I will pass the information along to my colleague.
Oh, okay, that's right. I forgot. I'm sorry. No. You don't need to do that. I'm still got the 2 departments together sometimes. So I will address that to that department. Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm done, Madam Chair.
I think I was next in line to speak, so I'll go ahead. I don't know.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Winslow and Mr. Wiggins, and some of the stuff you're talking about, if it's trash, I can understand that, but Lee Street, Ms. Winslow, we need to get together, because there was a study that was being done by the Atlanta Department of Transportation on actually doing some enhancements in Lee Street with sidewalks and all of that. And I know that's long term, but we need to look at that. In short term, we can look at, fixing up some of the sidewalks. But we really need to begin to work. You and I, Ms. Winslow, need to start working on that long-term plan for sidewalks and bike trails and all of that along Lee Street. And that's because
I agree with you.
You and I share Lee Street. So we need to pull our Department of Transportation in and look at that. So I'll get back to you on that. But Mr. Wiggins, I wanted to say I talked to you recently, and I'm sorry we had to cancel our appointment last week, but looking forward to meeting with you in a couple of weeks and riding out. My whole thing, and I think I've said this to you and I've just said publicly again, is that we just got to do a better job of structuring internally in terms of how we do things across the city. Because a lot of the complaints, and I know you just got here, but what I don't want to see is all these complaints we're hearing consistently. We've been hearing them for years. And so at what point do we begin to really talk about how we can change our structure internally in terms of being more accountable. Same problems over and over and over and over again. And I would tell you, I do have some questions in terms of how your department works internally, and I'm hoping as you begin to work, and as we ride out the next couple of weeks, I would love to show you some of the things that I consistently see that I just don't understand how we can we need to begin to talk about how we're going to change all these things, because it's just unbelievable to me. And I do agree with you all. I think that you, as the commissioner, also should be at least knowledgeable, as Mr. Schick said, of what's going on. I know you inherited this, you just got here, with our rate increases. I'm not sure how, but when we go into executive sessions, I think it'd be important that you go in sometime also to listen to some of the concerns internally and have some conversation with us about it. We can't talk about it openly. But there are some concerns, and I think it's important that you be at the table and not hope, well, I guess we are holding you accountable, but understanding what's going on also. So I'm looking forward to work with you, but we got a lot of work to do in your department, but I appreciate having you here. That's all I have to say, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Wiggins.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Couple. So, do you have any idea is this what board that say that when there is go back and one that pattern or something that is similar about and that question is where?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I believe that your connection is chopping in and out.
My connection is perfect. No, my connection is perfect. So anyway, let me try it again. I was saying when you described that when there are misses and you went through the percentage of misses for each category, you were able to go back and collect those misses within one day. I'm asking you, did you see a pattern that identifies why there were misses? Were they similar, or is it just a one-off kind of situation?
Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. And so we are in the process of creating a quality assurance, quality control team where we are performing audits of our routes. And the information that's collected, we will use to map these areas to understand where to better deploy our resources. The data that we've collected, we have been able to establish 2 service areas that require significant improvement. Again, that's where we have placed the majority of our focus. As Councilmember Shepherd mentioned earlier, there are some areas to where we have realigned our staff to provide better oversight as it relates to sanitation collection. We have seen significant improvements by implementing some of the practices. I don't want to understate the issues that we're dealing with. We are aware, but I believe that we have our arms wrapped around the issue, and the strategies that we have in place have shown to be effective. So to answer your question, the areas that we have been able to return and collect the missed collections within one day are the areas that are typically that we're experiencing the most problems with. And so we're looking at the size of the routes, how we deploy the vehicles, and how we deploy personnel. I believe that you will see significant improvements by the next quarterly update. There are other things that we're working on that I will be able to share in more detail with the next quarterly report.
All right, well, thank you. We do look forward to receiving that, and I will tell you anecdotally that I do have at least one community with their service pickup date as a Friday, and so I'm just wondering, and there have been misses in that community. So when you say within one day, if it's a Friday miss, we're really saying it's a 3-day. period that has to happen before it can be addressed. Am I wrong, or do you have a Saturday emergency crew? How does that work?
Actually, yes, we actually deployed an emergency crew this past Saturday. And at this point, I'm not sure if the correct term would be an emergency crew. We have a standby crew that we're working on through the evening hours to collect missed pickups as well is what we're working on. So we're just putting better processes in place. The overall goal is to not have any trash missed, obviously. But while we're working through improving our processes, we're putting stopgap measures in place, if you will, to be able to address any gaps in services very quickly.
Okay, great. So you're standing by the 1 day. Okay, great. And this is something I harp on quite a bit. I appreciated the org chart that you included. So when you had the box associated with AIM, does that mean that they are working in AIM, but you are just identifying Ms. Rackley as your point person in AIM? I didn't quite understand how that fit.
Yes, ma'am. Although they are assigned to AIM, administratively, they work closely with DPW at DPW facilities and fall somewhat under the leadership of DPW management team.
I see. Okay. Well, I think that's a level of detail I hadn't seen or overlooked that. So thank you for that. And then slide 16, where you show the before and after pictures, and I wondered if a car had been parked in that area, would the after picture look different? And this is something that I harp on, that we need to make it, I don't know how we make it, but connect better with the community in a way that when there are cleanups or street sweeping, that we do our best to get the vehicles out of the way so that the benefit of the cleanup is maximized. So that picture looked great, but I can show you other pictures where the after looked pretty much like the before. So just urge you to look at ways to make sure that we get the entire street clean when we're out doing that. All right, and then finally, so thank you for just saying yes, I appreciate that. Is there a place, I've been on your website trying to find it, where you publish a schedule for the citywide cleanups, for the clean sweeps, or whatever the correct lingo is?
Currently, the quadrant system that was previously in place is on the website. We're in the process of updating the website to reflect our current method of mowing and littering the right-of-way.
So the website is going to be updated to reflect that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I don't want to harp on this, but so if 311 is closed on Saturday and your pickup was on Friday, and then that means your notification is Monday, I just want you to look at the Friday pickups and make sure that we haven't treated them differently than folks whose pickup days are earlier in the week and they have another business day that they can, alert the department of any problems. So if you'd look at that, I think it'd be fair and good for those citizens.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, my staff is typing something else, but their fingers are not fast enough. I think we're going to close this out. I may have some other questions, but I will talk to you offline with that. Thank you very much for your first presentation. I'll give you a B+. I'm just kidding. You did very well. And all right, we look forward to the next quarterly presentation. Thank you, Mr. Wiggins. All right, Mr. Evans.
Thank you.
No problem. Mr. Evans, next.
Next up is ordinances for first read, and item number 1 is 21-0332. An ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee to exercise the first renewal for Special Procurement Agreement SPS 1200424 Identify Verification and Deposit Assessment Services with Online Information Services, Inc. on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management for a term of 1 year, retroactively effective from May 27, 2021 through May 26, 2022. In accordance with Section 2-1163, subsection C of Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, and for other purposes. Item number 2, 21-00333, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee to ratify services rendered in connection with agreement EAS 1210023, Municipal Waste Collection Support with Ceres Environmental Services, Inc., beginning November 12, 2021, and to authorize the mayor or her designee to extend the term of the agreement retroactively effective from November 12, 2020 until the national emergency concerning the COVID-19 pandemic is abated in an amount not to exceed $1 million in accordance with Section 2-1163, subsection C of Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances. All contract work to be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Ooh.
Item number 3, 21-00334, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee to exercise the second renewal option under FC 8919 annual contract for Security Guard Services, Inc. with Thorpe Building Services, Inc., All-in-One Security Services, Inc., a JV, on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management and the Department of Public Works for a term of 1 year retroactively effective from June 13, 2021 to June 12, 2022 in an amount not to exceed $6,517,361.00, and in accordance with Section 2-1163C, Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances. All contracted work shall be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed and for other purposes. Item number 4 is 21-00335, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the FY 2021 Water and Wastewater Renewal and Extension Fund budget in the amount of $3,000,000 to transfer funds from the watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the large water meter project and for other purposes.
All right. Thank you very much. By virtue of having items, they are in fact accepted. Next, regular section of the agenda, section I.
Item number 5 is 21-00269, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the 2018B Water and Wastewater Commercial Paper Fund FY 2021 budget in the amount of $12,280,172.00 to transfer funds from the 2018B Water and Wastewater Commercial Paper Reserves for appropriation and add funds to the Adamsville Pump Station Upgrade Project and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. Who's here from the Department of Watershed Management to speak to us about this paper?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Council members. This is Rob Bacaro, Department of Watershed Management. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, good. Yeah. The purpose of this legislation is to fund the Adamsville Pump Station upgrade project. The Adamsville Pump Station is a booster pump station that is supplied by 2 ground storage tanks that receive water from the Chattahoochee Water Treatment Plant. The station pumps treated water to the Hemphill service area, which services the southern area of Watershed Management service area. It's a very, very important pump station. The scope of work for this project involves adding a 4th pump 4 at the Adamsville Pump Station in order to increase the firm pumping capacity to 45 million gallons per day. The project also involves improvements at the pump station to ensure that the required firm pumping capacity can be delivered after pump number 4 is successfully installed. The proposed work will improve the reliability, address operational deficiencies, and reduce hydraulic bottlenecks at the other 3 pumps. By adding the 4th pump, it'll be an independent pump with its own suction and discharge pipes, backup generator, and controls, essentially making this a parallel pump station for constructability and operational flexibility. The funding will allow us then to once it's been approved, then we'll be able to bid this project. Do you have any questions?
Let me check with my colleagues. Any questions for Mr. Picaro? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, Netscape.
Yeah, second, sure.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Mazzacate and seconded by Mr. Stipp. Mr. Stipp. I don't know who Mr. Stipp is. Any questions or unreadiness at this point? All right, so there's no vote voice for everyone. Is that correct, Mr. Evans?
That's correct. Voice vote, if you would, please.
All right. Colleagues, unless there are objections, approved by unanimous consent. So I'm asking now, are there any objections to the approval of this item? Having heard none, this item is approved by unanimous consent. Thank you, Mr. Picaro. Mr. Evans, next item.
Items number 6 and 7 can be taken together if the committee so wishes. They relate to Utility Creek projects. Would the committee like to take the two together?
Hearing no objections, please vote. And someone needs to mute their phone, please. Go ahead.
Item number 6 is 21-00270, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the FY 2021 Water and Wastewater Renewal and Extension Fund budget in the amount of $1,726,140.46 to transfer funds from the watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the Utoy Creek WRC Instrumentation and Control Reliability and Restoration Project and for other purposes. Item number 8 is 21R3507, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee to execute an agreement for ISBC 1210100 Utoy Creek WRC Instrumentation and Control Reliability Restoration with WWPS LLC Civil Works Inc., a joint venture on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management for a term of 320 days for substantial completion and 345 days for final completion in an amount not to exceed $6,427,565.09. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. You'll find an iPro in your committee packets for your review. If you'd like, it is already a part of the committee packets. The legislation does not need to be amended.
Who from the is here to talk to us about both this ordinance and this resolution? Thank you, Mr. Evans, for that.
Council member, it's Rob Bacaro, Department of Watershed Management again.
All right.
And so the Utoy Creek WRC Instrumentation Control Reliability Project will improve overall plant reliability and efficiency, replace old and obsolete instrumentation and control equipment, and facilitate compliance with permit effluent discharge limits. As the main legislation, or as part of the legislation, we want to recommend award of IFBC 1210100, the Utoy Creek WRC Instrumentation Control Reliability and Restoration contract to the WWPS LLC and Civil Works Inc. Joint venture in an amount not to exceed $6,427,565.09. For this solicitation, only one bid was received from WWPS LLC and Civil Works joint venture. However, the joint venture met the minimum requirements stipulated in the Statement of Bidders Qualifications. Watershed Management has had similar work done by this contractor, and their work met or exceeded our expectations. The approved budget for this project was based on the engineer's opinion of probable construction cost of $4,701,424.63. The additional funding that we're requesting of $1,726,000 $726,140.46 is required to cover not just the base bid amount, but a recommended owner allowance and two recommended alternate bid items. Alternate one was to add a centrifuge PLC program logic controller. And alternate two was to add pressure sensors for the submersible pumps. As the legislation includes the iPro report. Any questions?
Yeah, let me ask any questions, as Mr. Vaccaro just said. Does anyone have any questions? So, Mr. Vaccaro, when you say the two additional items which amounted to in excess of $1 million, would that trigger the need to put it back out to bid, or how does that part impact the overall initial bidding process?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think one of the things that with our solicitations, a proponent do get an opportunity to provide alternative items which the department will consider. Our evaluation committees recommended that the acceptance of those alternates. As I say, this contract, our Utah Creek WRC is a very good facility, but a lot of the instrumentation and controls have reached the end of their life, and if we were to, a lot of the equipment does need to be replaced. So the recommendations that have been put forward were carefully evaluated and recommended by the operating staff, and hence we had recommended that we include those. We don't always accept alternate bids or alternate items.
All right, colleagues, any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Shokai.
Second, Winslow. All right, thanks. And moved and Mr. And Mrs. If there's no readiness, we can approve this by consent unless there are objections. So are there any objections to approving these two items, the ordinance and the resolution, by unanimous consent? Hearing no objections, those items are both approved. Thank you, Mr. Vaccaro. Mr. Epps.
Thank you. Item number 7 is 21-00271. An ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the FY 2021 Intergovernmental Grant Fund budget in the amount of $587,567.00 to anticipate and appropriate grant funds from the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency to provide for matching funds from the Department of Watershed Management in an amount not to exceed $103,688.00, to provide an additional owner-controlled contingency in an amount not to exceed $150,000.00, and for other purposes.
Thank you. Who's from the department to speak to us about this paper?
Council Member Archibong, it's Rob Vaccaro again from Department of Watershed Management. Deputy Commissioner Quinton Fletcher could not attend today, so I'm covering a couple of presentations on his behalf, but I'm very familiar with these projects. But this legislation is to anticipate and appropriate grant funds from the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency, or GEMA, in the amount of $587,567. Watershed Management applied for and was awarded a GEMA grant in the amount of $587,567 for the purpose of buying 6 generators. One of the things that we try to do from a watershed point of view is our pump stations require emergency backup generators so that in the event that we lose power from Georgia Power, that we can maintain those pump stations and make sure that they don't discharge into the adjacent creek. So this is a really a great, wonderful grant that we had obtained. The grant covers 75% of federal funding and a 10% match from the state. So the city is responsible for a local match in an amount not to exceed $103,688. And we've also recommended an additional $150,000 for an owner-controlled contingency in case we have any unforeseen field conditions, installation, and costs regarding the acquisition of the 6 generators. The grant proceeds will fund the project to ensure a reliable source of power at 6 of our wastewater pumping stations. The legislation also authorizes the mayor or her designee to enter into an agreement for the grant implementation with GEMA. Again, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Vaccaro. Colleagues, any questions?
Shook moves approval.
Thank you, sir.
Second, Matscate.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded, Mr. Shook and then Mr. Mazzacati. Colleagues, this can be approved by unanimous consent unless there are any objections. Are there any objections to this item being approved? Hearing that item is approved by unanimous consent. Thank you, Mr. Vaccaro.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Evans.
That brings us to item number 9, which is 21R3508, a resolution by City Utilities Committee to amend Resolution 20R4188, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on August 17, 2020, and approved by operation of law per City Charter, Section 2-403 on August 26, 2020, to increase the not to exceed amount from $702,820.80 to $843,900.00 for a memorandum of understanding and contract item agreement with the State of Georgia Department of Transportation on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management to relocate and or adjust water valve boxes, water meters and boxes, manholes, water mains, fire hydrants, and other related facilities in conjunction with the State of Georgia Department of Transportation project number indicated here, State Route 42 US 23 from 0.03 miles south of Key Road to 0.08 miles north of Wade Street in Fulton and DeKalb counties. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account number listed and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. Who's here to speak to this paper, please, from the administration?
Yeah, Council Member, it's Rob Vaccaro again.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So on August the 17th of last year, Council adopted legislation 20R4188 for a GDOT project number M00596 in the amount not to exceed $702,820.80. GDOT DOT subsequently had a bid opening on January the 22nd of this year. The winning bid appraised Watershed's utility adjustment cost at $843,900, which exceeded Watershed's estimate by $141,079.20. Therefore, this legislation is requesting the funding shortfall. I just wanted to emphasize that watershed management relies on the opinion of the probable construction costs that are prepared by one of our AE joint ventures. While the estimates do include a contingency, the bid amounts on occasion such as this do exceed the engineer's opinion of the utility adjustment cost. Sometimes it's less. So again, respectfully request approval of this legislation.
All right, thank you. Colleagues, any questions over the motion?
Shook moves approval.
Winslow, second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Mr. Shook and by Ms. Winslow to approve this item.
If there's no objections, it's by.
Are there any objections to the approval of this item? That might be her right now. Somebody needs to mute. If you're not talking, please mute your phone.
All right, are there any objections?
If not, this item stands approved by unanimous consent. Mr. Evans.
Item number 10 is 21R3509, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding and contract item agreement with the State of Georgia Department of Transportation on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management for an intersection improvement project, number listed here, State Route Donnelly Hollowell Parkway at State Route 3 Northside Drive in an amount not to exceed $50,322.85. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bakari again or someone else?
Yes, it is. Council Member for Rob Bakari, Watershed Management. Georgia DOT is sponsoring intersection improvements along Donald Lee Holloway Parkway at Northside Drive to upgrade equipment, accommodate pedestrians, and upgrade pedestrian facilities on State Route 3 at 4 locations and State Route 8 at 4 locations. Watershed management scope of work requires relocation adjustments of fire hydrants, water valves, meters, boxes, and bolts to finish grade of roadway. So this legislation is requesting the required construction services funding in the amount not to exceed $50,322.85 to perform the required utility relocation work. There is a map in the legislation showing the location of the project with the legislative package.
Again, any questions?
Thank you, sir. Questions for Mr. Bakari?
Shook, approved.
Thank you. Here's second. I second it. Okay, Mr. Mazakite seconded. Approved. Motion by Mr. Shook, seconded by Mr. Mazakite. Colleagues, this will be approved by unanimous consent unless there are any objections to our doing so. Are there any objections? All right, this item stands approved by unanimous consent. Mr. Evans. Madeline.
Madam Chair, that concludes the legislative items on the agenda.
All right, thank you. And do we have any items to be removed from health?
I've not been informed of any items ready to move this morning.
All right. Then that concludes our legislative items. Colleagues, are any announcements or anything for the good of the body? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Hill.
Motion to adjourn. Second, Shepherd.
All right, thank you. I think we will say by unanimous consent, colleagues, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Good meeting.